You're listening to episode 68 of Play to the Whistle podcast. Our host, myself, T Dot, Kieran. What you saying, man? How you doing?
Well, got on episode 68. Damn,
Big,
we've
big
been busy
things.
this year. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's been yeah, I'm good. It's a really good weekend of football, really good weekend. And obviously, I think we timed it well today. My little illness actually helped us. I think I'm gonna say that was I timed that well. So yeah, but yeah, man, I'm good. What are you saying?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Obviously, again, very good weekend in terms of football and all of that stuff. But yeah, man, happy that we got the 3 points.
I was
But
gonna say I know why you're smiling.
yeah, no, obviously, man, come on. But
And
so
so,
for
but
anyone,
we 40 points, and then let's see where we get from there. Let's get safe.
no, listen, you know me already, cuz man. But listen, let's get the formalities out
Let's
the
go.
way. Anyone who's listening on Apple or Spotify, obviously you found us. If you're listening on there, you found us already. But for those who are listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, it's Play to the Whistle, the PTTW podcast on social media. So Twitter, Instagram, the PTTW podcast, YouTube, Play to the Whistle. Again, Apple and Spotify, you can search for us on there as well. So like and subscribe on YouTube, follow us on our socials as well. We appreciate all of that. And comment as well. If you're watching on YouTube, comment if you disagree or agree with us, let us know, man. But obviously, the big news of the day before we came on air and started recording, Nuno has gone from Tottenham. He has been sacked 4 months into the job. It seems very premature. There's talk of Conte coming in, 18-month contract, a couple of million to spend. I think I heard 150 million, bringing three or four players in that next window, maybe leave that for the summer window as well. But Kieran, I know you was kind of shocked, I think, to hear that. Obviously, 4 months isn't long enough for a manager, but just give us your thoughts around that. Obviously, we'll talk about the game
Yeah,
itself
yeah.
in a bit, but just in terms of Nuno being sacked and that time frame that he's had, do you think it's too little time in terms of him embedding his ideas into the club?
Well, I'm gonna say right. If this was WWF, yeah, imagine 2 man El Sacchio. If you lose, that's what happened, isn't it? You get sacked. So, in that sense, it's not very surprising. But I think, like I was saying before, um, that's a crazy amount of time. I don't even think he came in that early, to be honest. I don't think he had much of the summer. There's been a whole thing around Harry Kane. I just think, and it's the same. It's the same with a few clubs in the Prem. I'm not going to start naming because I want to focus on Tottenham, but that just tells me there's no plan. I think I was looking at a table earlier. They're mid-table. I think are they eighth or something like that. They're 5 points off
Yeah, yeah,
fourth
yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
They had they won yesterday, it's just so ridiculous because had they won, they'd be fifth, 2 points off fourth, which is West Ham. So it doesn't make sense. I went back because I thought maybe I'm being a bit too lenient. Um, but I've looked at the games that they played. Crystal Palace have slapped man up. I think I put that in the tweet. They beat City, like title challenges. They drew against Arsenal in a game that they should have won at the Emirates. And then the other games they've lost. Obviously, they've lost to Chelsea. They've lost to Arsenal. They've lost to United. Anyone can lose those games, whatever team. So I think looking at it that way is unfair. Maybe the games they haven't played that well, but again, they've had 10 games. They had 10 Premier League games in the eighth. So I think it's unfair, and I feel like I don't understand why a lot of the fans were getting on them as well so quickly. Like it just I don't know. What's your thoughts, Cuz? Do you think am I being too lenient? Do you think he should have gone? Is that just how it is?
I think it's a tricky one because I think you got to remember he was never first choice at Spurs. He was the ninth choice or something like that, eighth or ninth choice. I think speaking on the fans first of all, I think that's why they never took to him because he wasn't the first choice. He was never going to be. He was already on the back foot there. But in terms of the time frame that he's had, the teams that he's played or Spurs have played, I do think it's slightly harsh because I think he's not necessarily had enough time, in my opinion, to do what he wants to do. But then on the flip side of that, you've got to look at the football that Spurs are playing at the moment, and they're not playing amazing football. They haven't moved teams aside. Obviously, I don't like using the term down tools, but there's a lot of players in there that I'm sure if Antonio Conte is the manager that comes in, will lift up and give that extra, 10-20% for. The likes of Harry Kane, who people still call him a professional role model, or an ideal role model in football. He's completely the opposite of that. He's one who's definitely not pulling his weight for that team. He's not.
100.
He's meant to be the leader of Spurs to an extent. So he's not doing any of those things. But I still think you've got to look at the tactics and that side of things, and maybe that's more of why he got sacked. I don't think it's a case of he the fans got him sacked, or because a lot of the people online have said the substitution, especially for Lucas Moura on Saturday, was a bit of a strange one, and I agree it was, because Moura was probably the best player at the pitch for Spurs at that time as well. But I think it's more, he was never for me. He was never first choice. It was probably never really going to work for him at the club,
Mm.
and it does probably need a bigger manager like an Antonio Conte to come in and see what he can do. He was obviously higher up the list of managers that they wanted as well. So I think it's a strange one, because 4 months in football really isn't long, and you know we've seen managers go for a longer periods of time and not done
Yeah.
as well. So it's difficult, but I can see why he's probably been given his marching orders as well. But it's going to be interesting. What do you think if Antonio Conte is the manager that comes in to take over? What do you expect from him? Do you expect him to change things overnight, or do you reckon he needs that? Obviously he's not going to be given 4 months. If things aren't working, you can't go through this mentality of sacking managers and then sort of trying to get another one in. So what do you think Antonio Conte will bring to Spurs if he is appointed the role?
No, I can't lie. The players at Spurs, there's a lot of players that are, I don't want to say Conte players, but players that he'll get a lot out of. They've got enough centre backs for him to play three at the back. They've got some good wing backs as well. Midfield, he's got some soldiers in there, and up front as well. Whatever he decides to do, if he plays 2 or 1 with 2 in behind, I felt that's what he did at Chelsea. It was like a 3-4-3, but the 3 were quite narrow behind Costa. So I think Hazard, and I can't remember who else it was, but I feel like they've got enough around that, and they could really, if I was United, for example, even Arsenal, who have obviously shown a resurgence, West Ham to an extent, because they're up there again, I'd be a bit concerned. I'd be a lot concerned about that. I still think it's going to end in tears, because the way that Conte wants to manage the club, Spurs don't do that. So yeah, he'll get a resurgent. Yeah, he's got money to spend. But do the managers always get what they want? No. Is the club built around a manager? No. So it worked really well at Inter, because they gave him that. He asked for stuff. Man got half the Man United reserve team in there, won the league with them. These are money he asked for. But Spurs have just a history of going out. They'll just kind of buy players that they feel like buying. They'll do weird stuff. They don't really listen to the managers when they tell them that they need certain stuff. So yeah, it'll get them a nice little top 4, maybe a little trophy. And like I said last time, if that's what the fans want and they're happy with that short-term cycle, great. But you're going to run out of managers. So I've gone.
So I was going to say, do you think that's different though, in terms of obviously now that they've got a director of football in place as well at Spurs, and also the fact that he is a serial winner. Conte's won things everywhere he's gone. He wins trophies, and I think we kind of touched on it in the last episode, but we were talking it from a United perspective. But just in terms of the fact that even winning like the League Cup, for instance, that is an achievement for Spurs. They would take that right now, I think, and a top 4 finish. So I think yes, it might end in tears, but if in say, I don't know, the next 2 seasons, if he's there, because he normally stays at clubs for around 2-3 years. If in the next 2 seasons they win like a League Cup or a FA Cup, they get back into the Champions League, and he actually sustains good football again, some proper football at Spurs, I think they'd take that over the what they've had under Jose, what they had under even obviously with Ryan Mason caretaking, and under Nuno as well. So what do you think?
It is, and again, this is just from this things is the subjective perspective type thing. For me, I'm all about structure and sustainability, and I feel like if you can do the model in that way and bring the right managers in, and I use Chelsea as an example. I think Chelsea are the masters of that, and Real Madrid to an extent. There's a couple other clubs that have done that quite well. when I look at Spurs and I look at their sackings and who they bring in and the managers, and I just look at it and think, what is going on here? Like, what? There is just there's no plan. So it's fine if you're a fan and you're happy, you want to take that trophy and you want a couple of years in the wilderness and you want to come back and all of that stuff. Great, like that's fine. I just feel like it for the way for what I think this will be a test for Conte, and that the way that he is, the clubs he's been at, so your Chelsea's, Juventus, Inter Milan's, where he's done well, Italy as well to an extent, but the club teams, this is a different project because does he have the same caliber of players? Does he have the same access to the players he wants? I don't know. And if he doesn't, let's see what happens. But like I said, it's a subjective thing. Me personally, if I'm a fan, I'd like to see something like what Poch had, if that made sense. You could see there was a clear plan and they built something and they sustained it. Even if he had the bad season, everybody has that. So
do you think the same, Jesse? Do you think in terms of, obviously we've been talking about sacking of Nuno, imminent kind of appointment of Antonio Conte coming in as well, but do you think Conte coming in is a good thing for Spurs? Because I think we said last week, from a United perspective, obviously he comes in, he wins trophies, he gets them back into the Champions League, that kind of stuff. Is that the same thing that you'd think for Spurs as well?
Yeah, he improves Spurs. He improves them straight away because he's an elite manager. But for me, anyway, I have him in the same category as I've got their names mixed up. Klopp and Pep, and he's in that like caliber of manager. He's won the league here, 2 different teams in Serie A. So yeah, he goes in there straight away and improves it. I don't, same thing what I think about football. I don't really see it as no like super long-term thing anymore. It's about what you can do in the first 18 months. That's what his contract is, isn't it? 18 months.
Yeah, 18.
Yeah, he gets them competitive again. Definitely back into the Europa League. If United keep Oli and he's there for the same amount of time as at Spurs as Oli is at United, he probably does get them back in the Champions League as well. And I think all you got to do is like maybe have a word with Kane, get him back on board. If he's firing like he usually is, they've pretty much got the rest of the players that play Conte's system already. So they won't even really need to buy anybody. Maybe a centre back. I know they got Romero already in the summer, but everything else they've pretty much got his type of players in there already. So I think it's a good fit.
Yeah, no, I think as well. I think I was just about to say that about the centre backs. I was going to ask you both. Do you think that's the area that he'll focus on in January if he gets a job? He'll focus on looking at them centre backs because obviously, for me anyway, I don't think Eric Dyer is the answer in centre back. And I think obviously we mentioned Romero, who I've seen games where he's played really well, and then I've seen moments where he kind of looks a bit suspect. But I think he'll want to play that 5 at the back, and he needs trustworthy centre backs and able to do that. So do you think he'll look at that in January if he gets a job, and he's going to focus on that area?
So as a manager, I think he's a good fit. Yeah, but the only thing I would say is, like, we know what Levi's like, really, and he brings like managers in under false pretenses. Same with players, false hope. So I don't know what he's promised Conte, whether they're going to back up in January and match it. But if he gets what he's promised, I don't know what that is at the moment, then it can work. But we know Conte just likes to get people in the door, false promises, not stick to them, and it could turn into a quick car crash. But yeah, that's the first area I'd look at: centre back and right wing back, maybe, obviously for his system, because he likes like proper attacking wing backs in his system, not just guys that are comfortable there. So, but apart from that, they've got everything else that he plays. Got the right centre mids, Højbjerg.
Yeah,
just needs a partner in there. So, yeah, I think he's got what he needs.
I think, yeah, I agree. I think he needs. When I use the word workhorses, just guys that are like have the good attacking ability, but will run back. Like Victor Moses, very good going forward. Like he's a really good player, but he was working back the other way as well. He wasn't just running up and stopping. I think, and I don't know if you're thinking this, Jesse. I think Reguilon, I think he's got enough there on that side.
That's his fit.
Right back, definitely. I'm not sure about if Doherty can do it in a way that Conte is going to want, because he wants someone who can bang as. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm not
definitely.
either.
Yeah,
I'm not either
I agree with you.
because what he done with Victor Moses, same as Hakimi at Inter. It's not just about someone that can just beat up and down. It's actually when you're in the final third, you can actually do something.
Yeah.
So that's the only area I look at maybe that he might bring someone in. And if he's been promised that, like I said in it, we know what Levy's like. If he's been promised that and he gets that, then it can work. But we have to see, man, because we know what this guy's like, man.
I think from what the early reports were suggesting this morning that he has been promised a lot. I think saying before 150 million, bringing free. Yeah, I think this time's going to be different. I really do. I think the only reason he's taking this job on mid season, he turned it down already. There's obviously something that's been put on the table to him that's attracted him to come to the job. And I think I know what you're saying about in terms of, Levy comes in, he gets people through the door and then he suddenly changes his mind. But I don't think you can do that with an Antonio Conte because he doesn't need Spurs. Spurs might need him a bit more than he needs them. So I think so whatever's in his clause, in his contract that he's seeing, it's lit his eyes up a little bit. He's obviously like licked his lips and he wants to come and try. So whether that's
Cash money.
money, yeah, whether that's like
Yeah.
money in terms of wages or the fact that he's actually been promised this, if he's not promised, if he's not, the fulfillment isn't there from Spurs that he signs X amount of players within X amount of time, then he can bounce and probably still get his compensation. Something like that might be in the clause. I don't know, but I just think it's obviously a good move for Spurs. He's a winner. He's a winner. So, that's what they need. They need someone who can sort of rebuild Spurs a little bit and get them back to where they were, Champions League finals and things like that. So, but I want to talk about the game because I think we spent a bit of time on Conte. Obviously, big game for United on Oli. It was a big game for Nuno and Spurs. So I'll come to you first, Kieran, about United. What did you think about their appearance, their approach to the game?
I'm going to throw something in, but I'll come back to it in another episode. Conte won't make it to 2023. Just going to leave that there. He won't be at Spurs there. Anyway, the game itself, look, it was a decent game. I didn't think Spurs were that bad. I know they were criticised, but it was quite even. Like they had more possession.
Sorry, what made you think that? Because I at the end of the game, I had to sort of sit down and think, was Spurs really bad or United actually good? And when I looked at it again and rewatched the game, Spurs were actually really bad, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they weren't great, but I don't think either side were that good, to be honest. Like both sides had chances. Spurs didn't hit the target. Yeah, well they started good opening. Just because you don't hit the target doesn't mean that you haven't had any chance. They had chances. They had the ball in there. The defending was atrocious. That's for me what like they were dreadful at the back. The second goal was a shambles. Like I think Ronaldo plays it through the two centre backs. Like it's a joke. So I'm not going to talk too much about United today because we talk about them every week. But they were right. They did what they needed to do. The season pros turn up. As Jesse's probably going to say, the Avengers turn up again. This is probably the Avengers 2. Where like the graphics weren't that good and we're still getting used to the characters and all of that, so yeah, it was a good game to watch. Who's going to be happier? You never want your team to lose, but Spurs got a good manager. United is still left, fans are still left with Oli, so I don't know who's actually won really in the long term. Jesse, what's your thoughts on that?
Boy, yeah, I don't know, to be honest. It was a weird one. Like obviously you go into the game not wanting to lose because you don't want to lose any game of football. But I think it was just one of them, really. Like you said, Avengers. I think it's more the Expendables. It's the old guys coming like save the day, and it just shored up the ship and done a job. Like, but I think Spurs were dreadful. That's the truth. Like Man United were average in that game. They didn't really do anything. They were quite cautious in how they played. They tucked and got everyone behind the ball when Spurs had it. It was just you could just tell it was like, let's not lose today. Like that was obviously the plan, to switch that formation when we didn't have the ball as a back five. And to be quite honest, I think if we played anybody but Spurs, any of the other good teams at the moment, even I'll throw Arsenal in there, obviously the top Chelsea at the moment, Liverpool, all of them teams, they would have smashed United on Saturday, and that's just the truth. Like, not even, there's no point buttering it up. They were okay. It was a good assist for Bruno, a great finish by Ronaldo, and yeah, just capitalized on like errors from them. Good finish by Rashford when he came on, but just poor defending from them. Like Rashford just standing in the middle of like their back line, no one's picking him up. The Ronaldo, the counter attack. Like if Bruno, Cavani, and Ronaldo can counter attack against you,
Something's wrong with it.
something's wrong because you're not even being opened up with any sort of pace, just some half decent movement, like, and that was it really. But yeah, as I said in the group chat, United have got like a long way to go. Like, just because they won doesn't mean that he's turned the corner, because that exact same team cannot play tomorrow against Atlanta because they'll get turned over. There's not enough pace and movement in there. There's not enough speed at the back to handle what Atlanta's movement going forwards. And it's the same with Man City. Man City will rip holes through that team that started on Saturday. So it's where you got to be a manager, though. Just because you won a game, can't rest on your laurels. You got to like analyze the next couple of matches, change your team, try and get some results. But he's not going to do that. He's going to stick with the team because they just won, and they're going to get they might get torn a new one tomorrow and Saturday.
Can I throw? I was going to say, T-Dot, just a quick question to you as a neutral, because I'm only going to talk about the game. Did you enjoy that game?
But yeah, just quickly. Sorry, just to cut you quickly on Spurs. They down tools, and they've done it for a few games, but it was evident on Saturday. And Nuno's body language looked like he was told that they didn't win that game that he was going, because you could see he was looking up at the sky. He looked bereft of confidence. He didn't look like a guy that knew he was going to be in the job for the next game. And they down tools. They were disgusting, man. Harry Kane's a joke. I don't care what any Spurs or England fans say, or anyone that rates him or respects him.
I see that. That's a red card, Jesse, man. It's no VAR for that one. That was like the Villa game yesterday. We're going to touch on that later.
But yeah, he's down tools. He was a joke. Next to no movement. Throwing his hands in the air. His attitude is just shit, man. And he needs to be careful, because if he continues playing like this, he's playing himself out of the move that he wants. Because if he really wants to move, you just get your head back down and play the same way you've been playing for the last 5 seasons. Same way when Suarez didn't go Arsenal, just put his head down, banged another 30 goals. Like, Ronaldo didn't get the move he wanted that summer. When he's at United, stayed another season, done the same thing he done the season before and left. If you want to move, you can't sulk through a season. So, and then not just him, some of the other players were shocking as well.
Well, let's see what T-Dot says then, because I don't know. Do you agree with that, T-Dot?
With what Jesse said or your question?
Both.
What was your question?
No, do you agree? Let's follow on from Jesse. Do you agree with what Jesse said about the down and tools, the performance that you've seen?
I touched on it before you came on, Jesse. I hate that phrase like down in tools, but I agree that he's had a stinking attitude. I agree with that 100%. I said that before the Euros started. I said that even last season, that he's got a stinking attitude, and I think a lot of people, like I said before, a lot of people talk about he's a role model, he's professional. He's far from it. He's the total opposite of that. He's, if this was Rudiger who wants 400 grand a week and he started down in tools, everyone would be like, oh, hold on a minute. He doesn't deserve this, or he's not playing for the club, or this and that. But because it's Harry Kane, it's all right. And I think if I was Conte, or even if it was Nuno and he was still in the job, I'd drop Harry Kane for the next game. He should get dropped, because if that was any other player, again, it was Mora or Eric Dyer or Dele Alli, they'd be dropped. They wouldn't be playing. So
sorry, because I agree, because even in that game yesterday, if they just played Son down the middle and they started Bergwijn and Lucas Moura, they had a better chance of beating us.
Yeah, it gives you a lot more options.
Yeah.
But I think now, I agreed with what you said, Jesse, in terms of whoever comes in, whether it's Conte or someone else, the first thing they got to do is just sit him down and talk to him, see where his head at. If he doesn't want to be at the club, then they need to start the wheels in motion from now to get him out of the club. Whether that's in January, or they say, look, stay till then and we'll definitely make sure you go in the summer. They've got to start putting them feelers out there from now, because the longer this carries on, it's going to seep into the team. Because you can see it through, like, look at Son. Yeah, look at Son. They were getting assists and a goal each in most of their games not long ago. They had that partnership. They don't even look at like they're playing for the same team anymore. They don't pass to each other. it just something's obviously not right there. So I think in terms of all that, yeah, the players obviously aren't confident with him. They weren't confident with him. That's why he's had to go. And the fact when the fans start booing you the way that they did when he subbed off Mora,
Clock's ticking, isn't it?
that the clock's done. The clock's broke.
It's
It
done.
ain't
It's
working
done.
anymore. So
Yeah.
at that point, you're done. You may as well walk down the tunnel because the fans are the ones. I've said it before on here last season, but the fans are ultimately the ones that can get you sacked more than anything because they have the biggest voice, and
Mhm.
that he was proven there against United. But I think in terms of the game itself, I think Spurs were really poor. Like they were really, really poor. And defensively, even in attacking, like I just said, like you want a Harry Kane and the Son to start linking up and doing all that stuff. They don't even look for each other. They don't look for each other's run. They got the ball. They look up. Harry Kane could be on at one point. Son doesn't pass to him. He was a shoot. And I think that the fact that they didn't get a shot on target, that is a big thing because I think the amount of chances that they did have, at least one of them should have been registered on target for me. And not to take anything away from United because I do feel like United played well. Obviously, they knew they had to because it was El Sacchio, whoever got. Do you know what I mean? Whoever got lost took the L.
Really was. Really
Yeah,
was.
it was P45 time. So I think Cavani I thought played really well. Obviously, I was impressed with Ronaldo. I think Lloris should do better for that goal. I know it's a very good goal from Ronaldo, but Lloris should be getting a hand to that, in my opinion. But it is what it is. I thought Rashford again coming on. I thought he played well, but I wanted to ask you, Kieran. Actually, so the question I had for you around Jadon Sancho, who I feel obviously isn't getting much game time. Neither is Donny van de Beek as well. Two players that I feel like would maybe, you need to embed them into the team at some point. Do you think that's just down to Ollie, the fact that he's Ollie and he's that sort of manager that just doesn't want to do that? Or is there something else, like an underlying issue that we obviously as fans can't really see?
Obviously, the second thing you mentioned, it could be. I'm not on the training ground, so possibly. I doubt it personally. Just in a sense of, I don't know. I couldn't sit here and say it's not that because I'm not there. But no, I think like we discussed before, Ollie wants to play a particular way. I think that formation yesterday, on Saturday, sorry, it got the job done, but that's how he wants to play. Those players don't fit in to his way of playing. So I just don't think he wants to use technical players that are good on the ball and wants to control. I think he just wants to slap it up front. And he's counter-attacking with, like you were saying, with Fernandes, Cavani, and Ronaldo. Like that tells you what you need to know. So I think he just doesn't fancy those players. They weren't players he wanted to sign, personally.
One player that you wish you could probably sign if you needed a goalkeeper was Aaron Ramsdale, who I thought was brilliant.
Is that a Jesse?
No, I'm just saying, like, obviously, we've got a good goalkeeper. I think De Gea's a really good goalkeeper.
He was Superman, wasn't he? On the
it can't be at me because I rate Ramsdale. So
yeah, you've always shouted him out. To be
it must be at you then. If you're saying it's a keeper you wish to sign, then obviously that's at you.
No, he's a good goalkeeper, man. He's a good
Tell
keeper.
us about Ramsdale then. Was it where was man hiding his cape last season?
It was just the team though. The team was shocking.
You got to look at the defense that he had at Sheffield United, man.
Yeah, we're talking about an 11-man sport. Yeah, like one man can't change your whole team. Like
he did on the weekend. That could have easily been about 4-4, 5-4.
No, it could have been, but the whole Arsenal team's playing well at the moment. It's not just him. Like they've the whole team. Gabriel's playing well up front. Lacazette's playing really well. They're a transformed team at the moment, man. They're as good as they've been for a long time now. Obviously, it's that short term. You don't want to like start predicting stuff for them, but yeah, everyone's hit form at the right time. But maybe I don't know if they've all hit form or it's just that they're all fit because at the start of the season when they were losing all them games, like they had a lot of injuries. Guys were missing in it because of like isolation and all that. So maybe it's a bit of both in it, but they're playing really well. It's not even just his saves as well. Like I said on the last episode, man, his distribution is insane. So if he keeps up the form he's in at the moment, for the rest of the season, going into next season, he'll be England's number one.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. 100%, I'd agree with that. I think it was a game that Arsenal, off the back of their previous results, you sort of had them as favourites. I thought, obviously, the 2 goals that they scored, I think Gabriel got the first, didn't he, from a corner, Saka corner. Kind of took a little deflection first off Vardy, I think, and then goes in. But as a centre back, that's all you need, and you just need it to go in the back of the net. I thought Smith Rowe as well. Glad they got another goal because he's someone that's impressed me this season. But yeah, Leicester just I don't know whether it's the fact that they're sort of again they're playing like they're just not playing like the Leicester way that we've known them to play the last couple of seasons. I don't know what it is. I don't know why that is, but I feel like again I think they've got a couple of players coming back from sort of full fitness. I think Harvey Barnes might be one of them as well. Tillemans had a good game. I thought he played as always. You know, he doesn't fail to disappoint, and I think he had a good shot that was close. But obviously, yeah, Ramsdale keeps it a clean sheet, and I think it was Schmeichel or someone said it's one of the best saves that he's seen in a long time, and I agree with it. A lot of people. Yeah. I think a lot of people were saying, you know, oh, he should be saving that. But if you look at his positioning, which is again maybe not his, that's probably a downside to him that he wasn't really positioned correctly for it. But even to still make that save, it's unbelievable.
Whoever says things like that, man, they don't really watch football.
No, I think you need to. I think there's a lot of things I want to ask you about his distribution, because his distribution looks good. And is very good, by the way, compared to others. There is an issue I find with it though, and I wonder where teams might start to cotton on, because I don't know if you notice, he plays a lot of passes quite low and through dangerous areas. He plays at a really good speed, but I wonder about that. Obviously, he plays lots of different types of balls, but I wonder, he got caught out yesterday with one of them, and I think it's happened a few times, and he worried. And it's the same with. I always worry with goalkeepers when there are fundamental things that they probably should be better at that they're struggling with. But I do weigh up their age as well. But I'm wondering, are you, man, convinced, or do you see things in this game where you're thinking he should probably be doing better with that as a goalkeeper? Like, I'm just interested to know what your thoughts are. Maybe I'll go with T-Dot first.
I don't at the moment. I think you sort of touched on it there, his age. I think as a goalkeeper, he's probably still got another 10 years to learn a lot of stuff as a goalkeeper. But I think even now, I'd look at him and I would say for me, I'd put him ahead of Pickford as England's number one based easily. On current form. And
ability.
No, not well, you know what I mean? Like Pickford plays blinders for England, so he does play well for England, not Everton. But I think in terms of how he's playing at the moment, 100%, he's someone that can only get better as long as he develops in the right way. And there's nothing to stop him from doing that. For me, he is a very good goalkeeper. With the distribution thing, I think that's just a case of like mixing things up. Obviously, I don't think he'd play that low sort of distribution if it wasn't on. And do you know what I mean? Like if there was a chance that he might get intercepted by someone, I don't think he would do that. I think he you know, like you said, he kind of mixes it up, and I think most goalkeepers do that. You know, most goalkeepers wouldn't play it out from the back if it wasn't the right thing to do. So I just think it's one of those things that he obviously has to mix it up. I think he's a good goalkeeper. I can't find any faults in his game at the moment, to be fair. Don't know what you think, Jesse, if you agree or disagree with that, but
no, when you say low, you talking about when he's holding it, like the half volley ones, or on the floor?
Those ones, but I find he plays a lot of balls through the middle of the pitch, which is a bit odd. I find it was just something I've noticed about his distribution. It's quite rare you see someone playing balls like towards the halfway line, like through the pitch, like quite low.
Yeah, I think he chose the right times to do it. I think sometimes when any team that plays out from the back with the goalkeepers is going to get caught at some point. It happens to all of them. Alisson, Edison, Mendy. It's happened to Neuer. All of the keepers that get it down and actually play from the back. Once or twice, you're going to get it wrong. But majority of the time, not just at Arsenal, but he's at Sheffield United and Bournemouth as well, he plays up from the back. So he's not doing anything this season that he's not done before. None of it's new to him. He's just comfortable with his feet. And sometimes when it's through the pitch, it's because the pitch is open, you know. So it's not really necessarily so much of a risk. And he hits the wings as well. So, yeah, his distribution is very good, man. And he's young. That's the thing I was trying to say a few episodes ago. Like, he's not nowhere near his prime yet. Like, once you get all the experience as a keeper, your prime years, if he continues on this trajectory, he'll be a top keeper, man. It's good. It's looking like great business, despite what.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I just wanted to ask around Brendan Rodgers and Leicester, because I think they're 10th now in the league. I think they've conceded 17 goals, I think, at the moment,
Yeah,
although they've scored 15. But
yeah.
I'm just thinking in terms of Brendan Rodgers, their 10th. Is there a point where we're going to start thinking, are they actually going to get Europe? Which I suppose is like the bare minimum for them in terms of their expectations to get, even if it's Europa League football, Europa Conference football. Excuse me. Is that something that we, at some point, we're going to start thinking they might miss out on?
Not yet.
I think, no, this is back to the question I was asking. What are Leicester? Because if Arsenal continue what they're doing, they might be in a mix. They should be at least in the top 10, probably top 8. We're talking about Spurs getting Conte. United should always be a powerhouse with the players they've got. West Ham, obviously we'll talk about them in a bit, but I don't know. Like they're 3 points off 5th. They might just miss out. They might just get it. I think even if they finish 9th, you've got Rafa at Everton. Like, I don't think there's any shame in that personally. Crystal Palace, they might have a resurgence. They're in really good form, playing really well. They've been unlocking a lot of games. So I still think he's doing a good job personally. They've been in and out of form, but they'll get used to that playing in Europe.
Yeah,
What
I
are you saying,
think.
Jesse?
Yeah, it's too soon. I think it's a bit different with the Nuno one. Obviously, you could say it's too soon for Nuno, but the writing was on the wall. Them players weren't really playing for him. It was only going to get worse. So it's probably right that they pull the trigger on that now. Whereas he's been there for a while now. He knows what he's doing. They've got a lot of injuries, and they're 3 points off 5th. And look, Arsenal are in great form at the moment, but they destroyed us the week before. So it's not, it's too soon to be talking about anything like that for them.
The one thing I'll say quickly is I think they need to replace Johnny Evans, not because he's a bad player, but he's too many injuries, and that second goal, the Smith Rowe goal, was a bit of a sham. Like, he needs to get proper centre back partner in there. I know Fofana got that injury in pre-season, but I feel that's what's causing a lot of issues as to why they conceded, I think, 17 goals, and that's killing them at the moment. Sorry, Tito.
No, it's a good shout, man. What do you reckon, Jesse? Do you think that's a good call?
No, I think the problem that they're having at the back right now is that there's no legs, man. There's no pace. So anything that goes in behind is gonna lead to a chance. To be quite
Johnny
honest.
Evans needs to replace him.
Or Sionchu, or Amalti's at the back at the moment as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
None of them, Vestergaard, none of them have played well this season, really. So, and none of them are quick. So I think that's what they're lacking in them situations, is just the guy that's got the speed, the 1v1 speed to stop.
So do you think they need to bring someone
happening.
in? Do you think they need to bring someone in to enable someone who's got the legs, the speed to counteract that?
Yeah, because Fofana's injured, so without him, they don't have no one of that makeup. So yeah, they do need that.
Do you know what the signing was? But I don't think it would have gone. Kurt Zuma. That was the signing.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't think it was ever on the cards, but yeah, it's a
No,
good
but
shout.
you know what I mean. Yeah, to someone like that.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Let's move to Villa, who took a beating against West Ham, informed West Ham.
Took a spanking. Boy.
I'm gonna go to Jesse first. West Ham demolished Villa. What was your thoughts on the game?
West Ham were on top form, man. They played really well. Declan Rice was sensational yesterday, man. His evolution as a player, like, it's mad to think, like, he come in the team as a centre back, then for a season or two he's pretty much just sitting in front of the back four, and then from like the end of last season to all of this season, he's turned into some box to box machine. It's kind of insane, man, because his game has just developed season after season. But as a team, they're playing great football, man. Like, in a sense of, they play the right football at the right times. Like, when it's time to tuck in, they'll do that. When it's time to counter, they'll do that. When it's time to get the ball down and play, they've got the players to do that. When it's time to just go direct, they can do that into Antonio, into Souček. So they've got all parts of the game covered, like a proper Moyes team, like his Everton team. They've got all sides of the game covered, and everyone's playing for each other. They're all in sync with each other. Like, even the guys that ain't in the squad or in the starting lineup at the moment, they're all saying the right things. They're all talking positively. And that's rare. guys that are usually sitting on the bench usually kick up a fuss and don't have the right attitude. But even them guys for West Ham are, when you hear them doing interviews and like you even see them on the bench, like they got the right attitude as well. So it's all going well for them, man. They genuinely putting up a fight for the top four. And you also got to throw in. I know we're obviously talking about the game, but you got to throw in their Europa League form as well. They've not even, because I don't think they conceded a goal yet in Europa League.
No, they haven't. They haven't.
That is sensational stuff, man. And even when you look, I looked at the game when they played Spurs. Like they looked leggy in that game. They looked tired, but they just grinded it out, man, and got the win. But yeah, yesterday they just steamrolled Villa. They done what you should do to a team now out of form, and that's what they did to them, man. Fornals as well. He was brilliant. He has been all season. They're playing well, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. Kieran, about Villa, who I think during the start of the season, me personally, I kind of expected big things from them. Danny Ings, Leon Bailey coming in. Do you know what I mean? They brought some big players in, spent the Grealish money well. I think we all agreed on that. Well, I did anyway. I think Jesse said the same.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Villa? How come they're hitting this kind of mad dip in form at the moment?
My thoughts was I wish I was in that preview episode, because I had always got question marks about Villa. They've got really good individual players.
He was invited, cuz.
I wasn't there, innit?
I just put it out there. No, just for the listeners, just in case they thought like we.
When I had to take annual leave and think I need a little break.
It's where you said it, though, innit? Like you
no, because we're not going to talk about them today. But the way you man are talking about Villa was the way my thoughts on Brighton. When I look at Villa, they've got some good players. I'm not a massive fan of Dean Smith, if I'm honest. I do like what he's trying to do there, but he's a good manager. I think you're going to have that with the players. He's got a young side. So you're going to get red cards like you got yesterday. You're going to get inconsistency and things like that. But I think they spent the Grealish money well. I'm just not sure, again, what the plan was. I think Buendia's playing wide right yesterday. It's not where I'd play him. Ming, I know Mings, this is not a managerial issue, but he's another guy looking, I think, not sure.
You sound like Suna. He wasn't even playing. He didn't start yesterday.
No, but he came. No, I'm just saying in general. Like, I'm not. Sorry, I'm moving away from the game. I'm not surprised that they're struggling, because Grealish, you look at the way he's played for City, and also when he was out the team for Villa last couple of seasons, they really struggled. Like, they went from being relegation strugglers, they weren't going to get relegated, but they were struggling, to being a mid-table side. And when he came out the squad, he wasn't there. So, yeah, look, they got outsmarted by a manager who I think has been a good manager for his whole career, but he's learned his lessons from the Sunderland job, the United job, I can't remember who he managed in Spain, the Sociedad, I think it was. But I'm not surprised with Villa. They won't go down, but they're gonna be like this. They may hit mid-table. They'll be all right. But there's a couple teams: Palace, Brentford, Wolves. There's a few teams in there that Villa ain't that much better than, and they've got a lot of men that ain't really used to the league as well. In that way, playing in the Buendia, Norwich has been up and down in the Championship, the Prem. Like they haven't got players that are consistently doing well mid-table in that team, from my perspective.
I think they've got some very good players. Obviously, unfortunately, got Ashley Young at the wrong, but he's experienced. I think he's good. I think obviously Danny Ings, Ollie Watkins has kind of proven that he can sustain it at this level as well. We know what Danny Ings can do. I think Matty Cash has been brilliant this season for them as well. And obviously the new signings that they brought in, I think have done okay at times. I think it is obviously still kind of early in the season to kind of judge and assess them. But I do think the impact of not having Grealish is sort of shown a little bit now. I do think that watching Villa like the last 2 or 3 weeks, but I do think they were unfortunate the way that the game started. Obviously, one player I do need to shout out, because I've watched him for West Ham a few times now, Johnson for West Ham. Ben Johnson is a brilliant player. Obviously took his goal really well, but even before the goal in other matches, he's someone that, again, he's putting in like 8 out of 10 in most games that he's starting for West Ham. So credit to him, credit to Moyes for obviously implementing him into the team as well. But I think Villa were just once that goal went in, you kind of sensed that Villa weren't going to win that game, and they were lucky to not have the two players sent off, because I think for me personally, I think it was Konza got the red card anyway for the sort of last man tackle. I think it was Courtney Howes, I think, who sort of almost uses his arm. I think they gave it as, I don't think he even got booked for it, but it's an elbow to the face. For me, that was more of a red card than the actual sending off. So I think Villa were lucky. I'm looking at the goalkeeper Martinez as well. I'm starting to think, will we just like blowing steam up him to make it, because he doesn't, the signs of him sometimes, and I think, oh, you got to save that. Even in the West Ham game, the goalkeeper's got to save some of them. You know, if he does,
the first goal in particular you're thinking?
Yes, and I think the last one. I
know he parries one back in.
Parries one. I think that's the second. I can't remember out of which ones, but there's definitely one where he parries it and he almost assists the goal.
Yeah, I think it's Fornall's goal.
Yeah, so I think I'm looking at him as well, but I think they'll be okay. I think Villa are fine. I think, you know, like I said, I like watching Villa. They've got some really good players there. Obviously, John McGinn is another player that I forgot to mention, with the experience that Villa have got there. So I think they'll be okay. But I just think they're kind of struggling. They're having their little dip in form at the moment, and they'll bounce back.
I think the other thing as well is obviously, yes, they went back to 4-3-3. I think that's the system that they need to play. Obviously, it didn't work yesterday, obviously, with the red card, and they just didn't really get going. But I don't like the 3-5-2 for them, because you can play it sometimes, because obviously they got Ings and Watkins, but you bought Bailey, you bought Buendia, you bought all these guys that you need to fit into a system. They're all them players that they bought fit into a 4-3-3. And I think once they're all on the pitch together, it will work. I think it can work for them. It will be enough for them to stay up definitely in the league. But he's got to stick with that system. Like, just because they got battered yesterday, don't mean he should go back to the 3-5-2, which is, I think, what he might do after that result. But yeah, I think their issue at the moment, really, anyone's going to miss a Grealish, yeah, but I think centre back's a problem for them right now, man. And I think you know, House, Konza, Twanzabi's there, Mings, like he's got to decide between a pairing and stick with it, or go and get someone again in January, because if he's not sure. But that's what I think the issue is for them. I like Cash. I like Target.
Yeah, the fullbacks are fine.
Martinez. I keepers have bad games, innit? But I still rate Martinez. But I just think for them, I think centre back's a problem. I think everything else, they've got the players.
Can I ask real quick, because obviously Kieran's raised this around David Moyes. Does he? I'll ask both of you actually. Does he deserve another big job from the form that he's done with West Ham?
For Jesse first.
No, go on.
No, go for it. I'm interested. That's my question.
Not this again.
No, go on, man. Go on. No, joking. Yeah, because Kieran don't like to answer questions first, innit? But yeah, I think so. When he got the Man United job, he deserved it, because I think, obviously, Kieran knows this. Like, when I had a little shortlist for the next Man United manager after Fergie, and he was one of them. So I can't even deny or front about him getting a job. I was happy he got it, but I don't think he's just a good manager. I think he's a very good manager. Like, I think people got to move on from that United situation. I think whoever took that job, most managers that took that job after Fergie would have struggled with it, really. Them players didn't really play for him. They didn't try to buy into what he was trying to do. He made loads of mistakes there as well. I don't think he was he done the right things in that job. But look, will he even get a chance at another big job? No, he won't. But does he deserve it? I think so. Yeah, definitely. Because what he's done, he's taken them from 17th in the league to European football. That's sensational, you know. So he does deserve it.
I agree, and the irony is, and probably a lot of people won't agree with me, but I feel he's the kind of manager that United could actually do right now. And I say that, what I'm not saying is, I feel he's No, I think he's gotten better from those experiences because I think it's kind of apart from Ollie because he just doesn't learn. But there's a lot of managers like Brendan's a really good example. If Brendan gets a big job now, the experiences he had with Liverpool will make him a better manager. Do you know what I mean? So it's not that he could have had another job straight after that. I think he needed to start like in a Leicester, but I feel like those experiences will make him better. I'd like to hope that he gets a bigger job. I don't want to put anyone out, but like a Tottenham, for example, be interested to see what he could do there because you'd say probably historically and in Premier League years they probably a bit
going
better.
backwards.
No, but you know what I mean though. Like with the stature of the club.
Yeah, I was joking.
I genuinely believe though that if West Ham, I hope this happens as well. If they can get Lingard in the January transfer window again, and Lingard does the right thing and doesn't trust Oli and wants to save his career, I think they could finish in the top 4. I think that 4th place is just up for grabs now. Personally, and I think coming back to just full circling what you both said, David Moyes improves his players. It's so nice to see people coming in and coming into the team, coming out from the cold and improving. Like he's done an amazing job with development. And this is not he's got previous for this, bringing players from the champ, players from the youth team,
players from Ireland.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, no, kudos to. I hope they get 1 or 2 signings in the January transfer window just to top things up and give them something. So yeah, sorry, that was my piece on it. What are you saying, Cuz? What do you think, Dave Moyes? Before we move on. Oh, I can't hear you, Cuz. I think
can't hear you.
Mute.
My bad, I'm on mute. I was typing away, but yeah, I think it was probably the wrong time for him to go to United when he went. But he's definitely deserving of another big job, whatever that means. But yeah, he's definitely worthy of that because he's definitely proven himself at West Ham now. In all honesty, I think he done okay at Everton as well. I can't really remember his record at Sociedad. I think it was pretty abysmal, I think, if I remember. But in terms of what he's done since then, he's definitely proven that he can sort of take teams from, like you said, 17th, bring them in, incorporate youth as well, which is a big thing in today's like modern day football. So why not, man? Whether that's United, I don't know whether that would work again. But yeah, it definitely deserves a big wherever he goes, he definitely deserves it anyway. After the back of what he's doing at West Ham.
100.
But let's go to Klopp's Liverpool 2-0 up, I think, weren't they? 2-0. And then they drew it back to, Brighton drew it back to 2-2.
You sound like you're enjoying this one, cuz.
No. Do you know what? Do you know what? It was a weird one because obviously I thought I had Liverpool down to win it. I thought they were going to win based on the way that they've been playing and how they've been beating teams up left, right, centre. Jesse, start with you. Liverpool throwing away 2 points in a game which ideally they should have won, but Brighton have obviously started in good form as well. But what was your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I was quite shocked, to be honest, because they came out flying like they usually do, and they started the game really well. So did Brighton, though. Brighton had chances early on.
The sound of the police.
Before
we expected.
Oh man, yeah.
Liverpool has happened already.
Yeah, Liverpool played well. So did Brighton. Brighton started well. They created chances, some good chances. 0-0 and 1-0. Great finish by Henderson. I thought it was a great strike. But yeah, Brighton kept playing though, like the same way that they've been playing under Potter, not just this season, but like they just kept trying to play, like kept trying to create chances and goals. And Basuma had a good chance to come off the post. But yeah, Liverpool played well. They got the second, and then to be quite honest, I felt like they thought the game was done, and they just kind of. It's a bit of Brighton were playing and trying to create and get a goal back, but Liverpool just switched off, man. They thought the job was already done. Maybe they was thinking about the last few weeks, scoring 5 against everyone. Maybe they got their slippers on and dressing gown on, and they was already thinking about the rest of their weekends with the family, and the younger boys of maybe, I don't know if they were thinking about the tables and all that, the nights out, but they definitely switched off. And I know Klopp would have hammered them for that, because when you're chasing a title like they are, and it's as tight as it is at the moment with City and with Chelsea at the top now, you got to be switched on, because results like this will kill you in a title race. And I know you might just look at this one result, but how tight some of these title races have been, you can't drop points like that. So I think it's the gap between you and them 5 points now. Is that you and City?
It's 3
Three
points at the
between you and
moment.
them. Yeah. But but they can't be dropping points like that, because that's just not good enough.
What do you think, Kieran?
I'll just quickly add, in a weird way, I think that result is going to help Liverpool quite a lot, because, like you say, you get into that complacency of you winning 5-0, you just smashed, one of your rivals, historically, not presently, 5-0 at their own ground. I feel like the games that they've got coming up, so they've got a busy November period. They're going to want to be putting these sides to bed. They're playing an informed West Ham, Arsenal. Southampton's always a bit of a tricky one. It could be 9, it could be 1-1. So I feel like you need results. I'm just talking facts, isn't it? Like, you need results to just keep you on your toes. And if it's just 3 points, it's different. If it was 5 or 6 points, then yeah, but it's 3 points. Because I know we haven't spoke about Chelsea today, but I know you're not particularly impressed with the way that they're playing at the moment, and they could drop points. So for Liverpool, you drop 2 points at this stage, you're switched on. You start hammering everybody else 5s. And sometimes you just need that for a bit of a kick up the backside.
Yeah, no, I think it was just a bad day at the office for Liverpool. I wouldn't read too much into the result, if I'm honest. I think we seen them last season when they came back at the back end of the season and managed to claim 4th spot, which a lot of people, including myself, wrote them off, I think, at times for them to even do that. So I think this is just a blip. It was a bad day at the office. Every team's going to have that this season. And to be fair to them, we know that Liverpool can turn teams over, so they can probably afford to lose these kind of games where you'd expect them to win. I think they'll be able to come back and smash a team next weekend. I think they got West Ham, ironically, next weekend, so or this weekend now. But those kind of teams, I think they can take these kind of losses. I think obviously if they lose against West Ham and it becomes a 6-point gap, then obviously I agree with what you both were saying in terms of that gap opening up then, and then it starts mentally, you start thinking 6 points, and then I don't know, but I was reading, I think the African Cup of Nations has been postponed now as well, so I don't think that's taking place in January or February, so that's obviously a bonus to Liverpool. Mane, Salah still being in the team as well, so if that is the case, then obviously that's brilliant for them, and from a perspective from Chelsea for Mendy. But I think they'll do well this season. Even with, I've said before, even with a Van Dijk that isn't fully fit, he's still worthy of a world-class centre-back. Trent's world-class. They've got world-class players in that team. Henderson started the season really well. I think he scored against in the Champions League. I can't remember who it was against, but he's got that form back that we know that he's got. So they'll be fine, man. They'll be. This is just a bad day at the office for Liverpool.
Yeah, I was going to shout him out as well, because obviously it was a great goal that he scored against Brighton, but yeah, he just looks back on top of it, man. All areas of his game, he's looking sharp again. He looks like he's through all of them injuries that he had coming towards the end of the season. So, yeah, he's playing really well at the moment. But yeah, it's only a draw. It's not the end of the world. And they just have to make sure that they don't get too many more of them results, man. But
yeah,
you talking about the City game, or?
No, I think that's us still. But yeah, just to echo Liverpool, I think they'll be fine. I'd be surprised if they don't beat West Ham by about 3 or 4. They got a really good record away to West Ham. Not based on the team sheets or form, but they usually go there and do a lot of damage. So and same with the Arsenal result. They got Arsenal, I think, after the international break. I'd be surprised if that's not a 2 or a 3. When they're ready, no one can really live with them apart from Chelsea. And so yeah.
But yeah, just quickly though, I'll touch on the City game if you lot don't want to anyway. But yeah, obviously it's a shock result for them, and it's a great result for Palace, man. They needed that win. They got it away from home, and they've done it in emphatic fashion, man. It's a great result. Gallagher played well, Zaha played well. They defended really well. Gueye and Anderson were terrific, and so was Mitchell. I think Mitchell's got the highest tackles in the Prem for the highest tackle success rate in the Prem so far, and they're playing really well, man. And same as what we said for Liverpool, I think it's just a little blip for City. I don't think it's nothing to worry about for them. Happens sometimes, especially the way they play. But yeah, it's a fantastic result for them.
Yeah, I echo that, man. I think obviously they deserve that win. Echo everything you said about them. They definitely deserved it. Zaha played really well, and so did Gallagher again. Fourth goal I think he scored this season for Palace already. He's fitted them really well. So it'd be interesting. I can probably see them. As much as it pains me to see it, it make perfect sense to try and sign him on a permanent, because I think he'd be a brilliant signing for Palace as well. But we'll have to see, man. And obviously Pep losing the game is always good for Chelsea fans as well. So just before we wrap up, because I know we're going to do that soon, obviously Reece James scoring 2 rockets against Newcastle. So yeah, just quickly to touch on Chelsea, I thought they played really well. And yeah, man, we talk about them quite a bit on here, so I'm not going to repeat a lot of what I say, but yeah, I think again it's working really well with not having Lukaku in the team. Obviously, Havertz is playing that role really well, so can't really question anything that he's doing.
Was Lukaku injured? Because I didn't watch the game. He's injured.
Yeah,
okay.
he's still injured. I think he'll be out for a few weeks, and obviously Mason Mount picked up some sort of illness. He's still out now, so he didn't start the game. But this is what I suppose I'll say, maybe not on this podcast, but on a separate one, around the squad depth and the players that we expect to come in and do well. Ross Barkley or Ruben Loftus-Cheek, they've got to step up, and they're doing that at the moment. So, even at some points with like Malang Sarr, Trevor Chalobah, those kind of players, they've done that as well. But it's going to take time for Newcastle. We said that before. Obviously, they're still in that weird kind of transitional period. They need to sort out a manager. So I didn't expect anything but that. So, yeah, impressed. 3 points, 3-point gap at the top of the league. Man, can't complain with that.
I think give them a trophy now, yeah.
No, I think you lot are playing well, man. I think Reece James obviously scored 2, but I think he's been playing really well lately, man. I know obviously I had my little question marks on him like going forward and that, but this season, man, he's been like playing like really well going forward. Obviously defensively he was already very good, but yeah, when he comes into the team, he's been in the team pretty much most of the season, hasn't he? But he's been fantastic, and just echo what you said as well. When like Loftus-Cheek and Barkley are coming in, they're adding something, and it's looking really well. It's looking really good at the moment, and you're doing the thing that you need to do when main centre forward that scores the goals isn't there. You just need other people to step up and score the goals, and that's what the other guys are doing.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'll just echo. I think Reece James is England's most complete right back. Can do both in equal measures, and I think he's proven that this season. But for me, he'd be first choice. Really impressed with him. Very good player.
Not going to disagree with that at all. So
yeah. No, it's a factual statement. So there's no disagreement or debate needed right now.
That's a factual, but yeah. I think we're wrapping up now. Yeah,
it's facts. Yeah, it's just facts, isn't it? Let's wrap up. So obviously, thank you for joining us today. We're going to end on that note. Reece James, the most complete right back, probably in the country, but definitely for England. Lots of sort of turns and twists in the table. You can follow us on at the PTTW podcast, both on Instagram and Twitter. Feel free to interact. We want to know your thoughts about Nuno as well. Was it too harsh, or if you're a Spurs fan, are you glad to see the back of him? Obviously follow us, join us. We did Monday today. We should be back to Sunday next week, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.